All right, time for some lockdown pay-per-view review, and
Lockdown.
let's just roll right into this. First match was the X Division Championship triple threat match between Kenny King, Christian York, and Zema Ion. I thought it was actually a pretty good opening match.
It was a very good match.
Glad that Kenny King won. Not
It's
surprised
very
that it was a
fast
decent
paced.
match because the X Division usually is pretty good, so I liked it.
It
Yep.
got my adrenaline pumping from start of the show. The only thing is, I just wish Zema Ion gets fired at some point. I just don't like the guy.
He's a great athlete. You got to keep him
He
around because
injured someone. He injured someone to the point where they can't even move.
What do you
yes,
mean that he
but
can't move? He walked through
The
the
X
ring
division is
before.
so depleted right now. You have Kenny King, Zema
Ugh.
Ion, RVD. You have like three people vying for the same belt. You have to keep the X division diverse like they used to.
It's also a highly dangerous performance, and you should know that better than anybody, Mike. Accidents happen. It's not like he did
Yeah.
it on
Yeah, but
purpose.
but you have to do due care, and the problem is a lot when you're going in the ring and you're taking risks,
Hey,
especially when
hey,
you're
when
doing
Brock
X division
Lesnar fucked
matches.
up his shooting star
No,
press
no, no.
that he
Don't get me
supposedly
wrong. Don't
practiced
get me
for.
wrong. Let me explain something here right first. One, when you're in the ring with somebody, you're supposed to be taking care of them. They're supposed to be taking care of you. If an accident happens, at least everything's been planned out to the point where you can say, right, that's happened. But you're not going to use that as a way to get yourself over.
Yeah, but TNA
I'm
has
sure
the
that wasn't
ability to
his
do
He
that.
choice.
didn't use
You
it
can't
to
get
get
pissed off
himself
at it.
over.
No, he did. There actually was a really tasteless, clever but tasteless line he did. I remember he was like, "Well, everyone keeps calling me a fruit. Well, I may be a fruit, but at least I'm not a vegetable."
Yeah,
Ooh, that's
and
bad.
he used it to get himself over as a heel, and it's
Yeah, but what
so
they just
disrespectful.
but WWE just did that with Paul Bearer and everything.
Yeah,
They
and
always
I
Yes,
give some credit for
again,
that. So
I didn't
it's
agree with
And
that as
let us
well.
not
that's in
let
poor
us not
taste.
forget Eddie Guerrero is in hell.
right. Yeah, they do this kind of stuff all the time. So I wouldn't discredit Zema Ion for it. He doesn't. If they told him to do it, he can't tell them no.
Hey, Chris Benoit's in hell too.
Yeah.
That was never mentioned.
Uh, that actually led into a stupid segment with Joseph Park wanting churros, which
Oh
led
my
into the
God.
Joseph Park and Joey Ryan match, which was stupid and I hated it.
Yes,
Yeah,
It just didn't have any reason for being there, is what it was. It was actually an
exactly.
okay match. I think that the ending was kind of funny, where like, he was going to do the sunset flip on him, but Joe was just like, I don't know, and just falls down, and the look of like, I guess that worked.
They
I
could
thought
have
that was kind
they
of funny,
they
but
they
yeah.
should have kept Joseph Park in the dark until they came to Chicago on Thursday. That's what they should have done.
Hmm.
Because that was his place to, come out and be a wrestler was in Chicago and they didn't have him do that.
I just
well,
hate these kind of angles because to me, if you're gonna only have like 4 or 5 pay-per-views a year, you should dedicate it to important stuff, and this should not be important.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's a
the
good
one
point.
thing that made me chuckle a bit was when Joseph Park entered the ring, and as he entered the ring, he was entering it to a pseudo LA Law theme. So it's like, duh, 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 duh. I was like, I know that. Oh, I'm fucking old.
with the trumpets and the guitar sting and
Yeah, it was one of those where I was just sitting there and I was picturing back to when I was a kid watching LA Law when my parents were asleep.
or Magnum
Yeah.
PI.
Yeah, I didn't watch Barney and stuff. I would watch LA Law. Fuck your kids' cartoons.
Then we had the Knockouts Championship. Velvet Sky pins Gail Kim
That was a
after
good match.
after Taryn flips out and stops being referee, so she's probably gonna start wrestling now. It makes sense, you know.
Yeah.
Didn't
Not
they
opposed.
do a gimmick of this, like a knockout that came from being a referee into being a wrestler?
No,
I
they
don't
did
know.
something similar with Mickey James where
Yep.
she went in to referee. She was a guest referee first for a match and then
For
started
Trish.
wrestling, but
No, no,
she was signed in for that.
it was some nobody. Taylor Wilde, is that her name?
Oh yeah, yeah, I
Oh
remember that.
yeah.
She started as referee.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
know she
know.
wore referee stripes on her outfit. I don't know if she actually was a referee or if that was just like some dumb thing she did. But
Well,
I
I
don't know.
mean,
It's
yeah.
TNA. They do dumb shit all the time.
Taryn's got hot tits, so why wouldn't they put her in a match?
Drew McIntyre hit that. That's all I'm saying.
yeah, she hit
Yeah.
Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, but with her fists.
Uh,
She was hardcore country.
Speaking of weird stuff, Robbie E in a backstage segment calls Robbie T an oversized hamster that he's going to beat.
He does look like a hamster though, especially with that hair.
Well, that led to their
Let's
match, Robbie E and
let's
Robbie
just
T.
get rid of Robbie E because they destroyed Jersey Shore already, so he's not even relevant anymore. Let's
I
get
So
rid
they're
say-
keeping him around for when Zack Ryder signs.
I say keep Robbie E. Well, keep Rob Echoes. I'll say that because he actually is talented. But you have to get rid of Rob Terry because that entire match was just crap.
Yes, it was crap, but they didn't utilize Robbie.
Just think of it
Rob
this way.
Terry. I almost called him Robbie
no.
T.
Let me explain this right. Robbie T tried to take a bump on this week's Impact when Bubba Ray was throwing him over the rope. Bubba Ray literally had to grab the fucking dude and throw him over on purpose, so he landed and he landed on his ass.
Oh, I saw that.
The guy can't even bump
He's
properly.
terrible. They really need to get rid of him.
Yeah,
If
do.
this whole match was booked,
You
to protect
can't
him.
deny that Rob Terry has potential. He has a lot of potential.
He's had
like all
potential
big
for
guys
years, but the problem is he doesn't understand what they're training him to do. They've given him extensive training. He's been put in feud with everybody. The Dudley boys have tried training him. Kurt Angle was tried training him. Fuck, even my mum has tried training him to no avail. The guy needs to either understand what he's fucking doing in that ring or pick another career.
But the thing is, Dixie Carter's not going to let him go.
Yes, because every time he comes into the ring with his big muscles, she probably jizzes herself.
If Robbie E is a ripoff of Zack Ryder, I guess Robbie T is a ripoff of the Big O. So why don't you just get the real thing?
Yeah.
Stay out of his ozone.
That led us into the tag team championship match. Austin Aries and Bobby Roode retained against Bad Influence and Chavo Guerrero, otherwise known as the Spirit of Eddie Guerrero, and Hernandez. Good match overall. I liked the ending of it where they had Chavo went for the frog splash, and I think it was Bobby Roode tagged himself in, and since he was the legal man, he was the one that actually was able to get the pin.
Yeah,
I like that. That was something a little bit different.
It was a nice screw job. It was a nice way for Bobby Roode and Austin Aries to establish themselves further as the heel tag champs.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I really like that part where they did the Three Amigos like 10 times.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Did you guys know? Did you guys know that Eddie Guerrero was a wrestler?
I thought he was just some dirty Mexican selling oranges on a corner.
No, that's the other Eddie Guerrero.
How could you? Oh, I didn't know
that. Then we had the steel cage match between Kurt Angle and Wes Brisco, and other than the ending where D'Lo attacked, Angle gets the ankle lock on Brisco and he taps out, but the referee's knocked out. It happens in every single pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And then he walks out of the cage. D'Lo attacks him, throws him back in, and pulls Brisco out. I liked the ending of it, but I actually didn't like the match. I thought it was just kind of generic.
I'll say that as
bland.
well. I felt like Briscoe's too green to actually, be working these types of matches, but
he couldn't hang with Angle.
Yeah, he has an upside.
Shawn Michaels has even said that he had a hard time hanging with Kurt Angle. So don't say anything about that, especially when a guy is so young. Maybe he is a little green, but I think this match was very good for what it was. If you had to pick one guy to highlight out of what the current Aces and Eights order was, I don't know if he would have been the one, but if they want to give this guy a little bit of a rub, that was a good way to do it. I think he did just a fine job. And he took some really nice German suplexes. I mean, they did the Three Amigos with him doing this German suplexes. Then there was the one they also did from the top of the rope, like in the middle of along the rope. That's a tough spot to do. So major kudos for that.
Can I poll the panel? How many of you are with Kurt Angle save wrestling in 2020?
Oh yeah,
still wrestling.
I just think he needs to stop
for the Olympics.
Well, no, for the Olympics.
No, the Olympics have eliminated freestyle wrestling now. It's gone.
No, yes, it's not even that Kurt Angle wants to wrestle himself. It's the fact that they've taken wrestling out of the Olympics in Russia because they wanted to limit the number of sports they had.
Why wouldn't you keep it? Come on.
Oh, they've taken it out entirely, Payden. It's not a sport as part of the Olympics anymore.
No. It's just for Russia. It's only for 2020.
It's because they no longer have Zangief.
It'll have it again. It's because Russia wants to keep the Olympics more concise, so they're limiting it to like 15 or whatever the number of sports they had. And what happened was they only had one for the last spot. They took all the other ones that they weren't sure if they wanted to have in there, like baseball and rowing and some other ones or something like that. And they were having a vote over which one was going to be. And that's what the whole thing is. Everyone's like, you got to vote for wrestling. Wrestling has to be the one that gets in there. And this is just for 2020. This is not permanent.
Well, I just think it's been established since the moment the
Well,
Olympics
it's never
started.
not been there ever.
It's
It's
an
always
original Olympic sport. Let's keep it because
Well,
it's an
you're keeping
original Olympic sport.
trampolining, but you're getting rid of wrestling. That's what I don't
It's
understand.
Soviet Russia.
well,
Yeah,
yeah. You got to every Olympics is meant to be a representation of the area that it's in. So if trampolining is really big in Russia, I can't
Oh
speak of what's
God.
big in Russia. I don't know. I
I
don't live in Russia.
BS.
I thought it
BS.
would probably
Zangief
be.
works in my local arcade.
The last two matches we had were the Lethal Lockdown and the World Heavyweight Tag Team, not Tag Team. I keep wanting to say that. The World Heavyweight Championship match. Let's go for Lethal Lockdown first. Team TNA beats Aces and Eights after essentially once Sting comes out with the weapons, they just basically destroy Aces and Eights the whole rest of the time.
That match
It
was
doesn't.
awful.
It doesn't even matter based on the outcome of the World Heavyweight Championship match.
The
I
whole
didn't mind
part
it.
leading up to the weapons, I think, sucked, and then it was kind
The
of
whole
fun,
match
but
sucked. Whoever booked this match should be fired. It was the exact opposite of what it would have been. Team
Yes.
TNA should not have been so dominant this entire match. Like
Yeah.
it got to the point, especially when Sting came with the weapons. It was just a solid. It felt like 5 whole minutes of them
we
just
already know who's gonna
beating
win.
people.
Yep.
Well, it's like that. It's
And
just the 5 minutes
also,
of them beating with weapons. It's like, what is going on here? And then
if
finally,
you
Ace
look
and Ace
at
got
like
control.
shit,
Hey,
if you
man.
look at shit talent as well, Magnus, you shouldn't have Magnus controlling a match within, but within the time period that he had it in. It was ridiculous.
Well, the
And I
one
agree with
spot
Hayden
that
on
I
that.
actually liked in it though was that I don't know what you would call it, like a double
Your double electric
superplex power
chair,
bomb
double
thing,
power bomb.
whatever. That was actually done pretty well. It was a little botched, but that
They didn't.
had to have
They
been
didn't
so
even
hard.
highlight. They didn't even highlight EY, which they
Well, yeah.
should have the entire time.
Yeah, but
I've
he's
met
disappeared
EY.
again.
He's a great personality. He needs to be featured more in all of the matches that they do. Him and ODB need to
What?
get back together like now.
I have
He's a
no interest
comedy
in EY.
talent. He is. I don't think they. I think they should get rid of the Knockouts Tag Team Championships
They should.
because they're not being
Yes.
utilized
Well,
properly.
they shouldn't have had him in the first place.
Yeah. And secondly, as far as EY goes, they've tried everything they can to make him a serious character. He's just one of those guys where he's funny in the role that he's in. He's probably going to be a lifer in TNA, apart from the fact that he's got a show that's been taken off on another channel, so he's probably going to end up staying there and affiliating himself with TNA.
Did anybody else notice the Full Throttle Saloon tribute that ODB and EY were sporting?
Nope.
Nope.
Nah, they had Full Throttle Saloon jackets and vests.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, you got FTS. That's all I saw.
Well, this match was booked terribly. The ending was the absolute wrong outcome. Even though
Yes.
we got what we did with the last match, the Aces and Eights still should have won. This should have been a clean sweep for Aces and Eights last night.
Who took the pin? It was Anderson, wasn't
Knox.
it? It was Knox.
Knox, yeah, it was Knox.
Or Nux, is he going by Nux now?
Yeah, Knox.
I don't know.
Nux.
Whatever. At least it's not Doc.
Give credit to TNA for signing some really, really good talent into Aces and Eights. Mike Knox, Devon, and Bubba. I'm sorry, I'm going to call him Bubba. They've got some really good talent in that group.
But this is the thing, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit in regards to the whole swerve of the Aces and Eights, because I think we need to go into this into detail a little bit more. But as far as this match went, and I agree with Payden wholeheartedly, it was booked wrong. The level of sort of the outcome was extremely wrong, because you've got two green guys. You've got Magnus, who's extremely green still. Again,
Well, he
he's
hasn't wrestled in how long?
Yeah, but he's in the same position as Rob Terry, where I don't think he gets it. And I understand the reason they put him in the match, and the same goes for EY. But both guys shouldn't have looked as strong as they looked in that ring. One, because EY is a complete and utter joke at the moment, and it's nothing against his talent. He's a very talented individual, but TNA have treated him like he's a comedy gimmick.
Yes.
And by giving him that much sort of levy over the Aces and Eights,
It should have been
ridiculous.
AJ.
That's why they didn't choose EY to go out in that match on Impact when it was between EY and James Storm. You remember the week before Impact or before
was it
Lockdown?
Magnus that
Sorry,
got chosen for that? That was
Yeah.
Magnus, wasn't it? Yeah.
Team
James Storm.
TNA just never seemed like a unified team in that match to me.
But what
It was
they- yeah.
just a hodgepodge of guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That-
And this is where they get it wrong in comparison to like previous storylines like WCW versus the NWO and the Alliance versus
WWE versus Nexus was better than this.
It
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
because it was a unified front. You had the core guys,
And then
even
you
had the
bring
mid,
Daniel
like,
Bryan
guys.
back.
and that's another thing as well. You had Daniel Bryan return, and no one expected that coming. And that was a great little match. But I will say, and I'm going to say this to those guys because I know that it's going to be total like bitch fest on this about this pay-per-view. We're not shitting on the pay-per-view. We're just saying that there's one terrible match because the match wasn't booked right. So please hold your horses, guys, and let us continue. Go on, Tony.
Yeah, the last match of the night was Bully Ray defeating Jeff Hardy for the world title, and he did it because he's actually the leader of Aces and Eights. Now, I am very glad that he won the title.
Yes.
I'm fully in for Bully Ray as the champion. I've been saying for a while that he's been one of the most entertaining people in TNA, and he deserved it. So
If you're gonna give one of the Hardys the World Heavyweight Championship, give one of the Dudleys the World Heavyweight Championship. Just it's common sense.
Well, basically, this group, we all saw it coming. I think everybody on the internet saw it coming that Bubba Ray was going to be the head honcho of the group. Now, even though the storyline with the Aces and Eights and the Hogan Brooke angle has been a bit of a clusterfuck.
I'm sorry, Mike. I just got to interrupt you for 2 seconds.
Go for it.
Loved nothing more than seeing Brooke Hogan cry at ringside. That made me laugh hysterically.
Yeah, because
Sorry.
she's such a bad actress.
Yes, because she's
Daddy,
such a bad
my
actress, and
boob
that
popped
reality
out.
show was horrible.
But yeah, the way they managed to amalgamate the two and make the angle work, I have to give kudos to TNA. I have to give kudos to everybody involved. And the fact that this group is spearheaded by two guys who are clearly underrated in this industry is amazing. I think they made the right choice.
you think was the other one Devon?
What?
The two guys?
TV champ.
Yeah.
I don't think that he's underrated at all. I think
He's
he's
totally
overrated.
underrated.
I think he's
He was
overrated.
underrated when
He's
he
not.
left.
He's
and
not at
came
world
back
title
as-
level.
I don't even think he's a mid-card title level. I think he
I
should just
think he
be
is.
in the background.
What? So you think
Bully
he's
Ray,
the Rick Steiner to his Scott Steiner, basically?
Yeah,
Fair
100%.
Well, I mean, when he
He's the
tried to
Marty
do the
Jannetty.
whole Reverend and Deacon Batista thing, he was a pretty good competitor in ring as a singles competitor. He didn't need, Batista was there as muscle, but when Devon got in the ring with his whole Reverend shtick, he was a great athlete, and people don't remember that.
The gimmick worked really well. I loved the gimmick.
It did.
Yeah. Everything about that gimmick worked, but they just pulled they stopped it for some weird reason.
Yeah.
So like you were
Because
saying,
Batista
we're
got
not.
too big.
You were saying about how we're not shitting on the pay-per-view. I actually thought that this was a pretty decent pay-per-view
Yeah.
overall.
Yeah, it was a
it's
great
more of a positive than TNA usually gets from me. So
Yeah, and it's the same thing for me. I was completely and utterly surprised from the pay-per-view, more so to the fact that I've actually given TNA Impact another chance because of this, and I wasn't disappointed.
It'll be
there's a-
interesting how this pay-per-view compares to Bound for Glory and Slammiversary 11.
Yeah, and ever since Aries was mistreated, I switched off from TNA. I'd literally just read spoilers to keep up to date with what was going on. Ever since the Aces and Eights angle started, I was kind of on and off to the point where I would watch it sparingly. But then after this happened, I'm going to be regularly watching TNA and giving it another chance. The only thing I will say about this is it has the potential to blow up in everybody's faces.
Yep.
Because of the fact that you've got talent like D'Lo Brown in the group and Anderson in the group.
They have to make the TNA Championship match at Bound for Glory be good for
It's
it to
got
all
to
pay off.
matter.
It's going to
The
be
thing is-
Styles and Bully Ray.
Well, the thing is, you've got to look at this.
It could be anybody in Bully Ray. It could be Aries and Bully Ray. They just have to make it pay off.
Yeah, they're giving Styles the role of Sting when the whole NWO situation happened, where it was like.
What, did any of you think Styles might have been part of Aces and Eights for a little bit?
No.
Nope.
No.
No, I knew what they were doing from the start. He's doing this whole I've been betrayed, and he's just going to be this sort of outlaw that's not really affiliated with either side, and he's just going to drop in once in a while, make a ruckus, and then disappear.
Well, he had the whole vest and motorcycle thing going, so I wasn't sure. I wasn't reading anything up on him, but I thought it might have been an interesting move. I don't want to say a good move. An
Well, I
interesting move.
was,
AJ Styles to aces and eights.
as I said,
He
they've
would be
given
a
him the
good fit.
role. They've given him the role of Sting in the NWO, which was where he came. Do you remember when it started out early and WCW rejected Sting and the NWO pitched to him of coming on board, and he went, "The only thing about Sting is nothing's for sure." And then he spent the whole year just not talking.
Yeah, they're doing that.
They're doing something similar with Styles, and it's a good move. But again, there's a whole load of potential here where you've got the aces and eights, which the one thing they need to do is they need to build this team. They need to build it up now because they've established it. They need to build these guys up, put them in each division, and have them winning the company's titles. Because in the
They
end,
have to have all the gold.
yeah, they're the horsemen. You've got to
Yeah.
run it the horseman way, and then
It'll
run
be
it
interesting. It'll
the
be
way of
interesting
every
to
other
see.
team.
Oh, sorry, Michael. Go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. You've got to run it the horseman way instead of the NWO way. That's pretty
It'll
much
be
it. You know, the
it'll be
NWO
interesting to see how AJ's ring rust plays into the whole thing because he's been out for a while. Let's face it.
definitely.
And unless he's been training this whole time, I'm looking forward to see how he performs.
Well, the whole issue at the moment is, and you can tell that AJ's gotten a bit like bigger since the time he's left. They need to focus, and the one thing that is souring me a little bit is the fact that you've still got heels in the company who are not affiliated with this angle, and I feel that the angle itself needs to eclipse everything else at the moment. Having your tag champs be separate heel entities and your X Division champ be a separate heel entity is not going to cut it. They need to basically focus on right. The aces and eights need to hold all the titles, and the storylines need to revolve around each individual in each individual division. If they do that, then they've got money here. They've got a heel group that's dominant. They've got a faction that's dominant, and they can run the storyline. Literally for about maybe another 6 to 8 months.
Well,
Even though
final
Bad
thoughts.
Influence has the best catchphrase in the business right now.
Final thoughts, anybody on the lockdown pay-per-view?
Good job, TNA.
Yeah, Sam, good job.
Good job.
Just
hope
keep
you
it
can
up.
follow it up because it's easy
once,
to make a bang, but to make a consistent great product, they haven't really been able to do that. They're generally the company that just makes one huge thing and then it's like, oh, okay, it was just that. Move along.
And then Dixie Carter over promotes the fucking shit out of it.
Yeah.
For once, decent pay-per-view. Keep promoting TNA on the road. That's your money right now. TNA on the road.
Well, that'll be it for the TNA talk, which means that all we have left are the plugs. And obviously, you guys know all of mine, especially the Sign Me Up initiative, where you bring a Smark Out Moment sign to any kind of a wrestling event of any sort and send me a picture or video of it, and I'll put it up on the site, give you a bunch of thank yous and everything like that. Check out all the stuff in the outro that you'll see, and blah, 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 blah. I say the same thing every week, so. Payton, throw it out there.
Well, I come from another wrestling podcast myself called the Keeping Kayfabe podcast, where wrestling is still real to us.
Damn it.
We do... We're a little bit different than what you see on here. We don't generally talk about the news or do reviews of what's going on in the present day. We generally talk about wrestling's past and just the culture of wrestling itself. We usually pick a match from some point in not too far back history. Every once in a while we might get a little froggy with it, but usually we go to the eras from when we were alive and we get to spend a little nostalgic time talking about wrestling. We also have been doing something special the past couple weeks because it's March and there's March Madness, and what we've been doing is a tournament style little contest thing to decide who the best is in a given category. We've done best theme song. This past week we just did best WWE champion.
Who won?
I'm not going to spoil that here. You
Damn
got to
it.
go and listen.
You've got to listen to the podcast, Tony.
Nice try.
That's an interesting podcast. I'm going to listen to that.
Oh, thank you, man. And we had Mr. Burhan there as a guest on both of those podcasts, actually. He's been pretty consistent the last few weeks.
You don't have to give us numbers, but can you at least give us a top 5?
A top 5?
Give me a top 2.
You don't have to give them in order, just like who...
I believe the final 4 was CM Punk, Shawn Michaels, Oh, who are the other two?
Hogan.
The
The
Rock,
Rock.
and wasn't Hogan?
Not Austin.
Wasn't
Bret
Austin?
Hart.
Wow.
No, Hart didn't make it to the final four, I think.
Yokozuna.
That's a shame.
I will tell you. Let me see here. Best champ. I'm wasting a lot of time. Anyway, if you want to
Hey.
find that show, you could go to keepingkayfabe.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and iTunes, of course. So there's all these great places you can find the show. I will have those people for you. Come on, load. Okay, here we go. The final four was CM Punk, Shawn Michaels, The Rock, and The Undertaker.
Ooh.
Yeah, so you can see
And
that.
you'll be very surprised. I actually ate a lot of crow on that show because I used my brain instead of my heart on this one. There's a lot of guys that I really wanted to succeed and move to the next round, but I chose logically.
I chose
can't deny.
biasly because I didn't want Hulk Hogan to win. I hate Hulk Hogan.
Yes,
I
check
think we
that
both
out.
do.
And Newbie TV.
And Newbie TV, which is an original web series for nerds. We make videos based on video games. We do Let's Plays, we do reviews, and we do cool little original skits. You can check that out, new-b.tv. That's also on Facebook, Twitter, and all that. You can easily find links to all these places at my own personal website, actually, paydensplace.com. And you can follow myself if you want, I guess, on Facebook and Twitter, Mr. Payden, Mr. Payden. I usually just post dumb wrestling memes and stuff like that. But if you enjoy that kind of thing, that's all I got. Thanks, Anthony.
Paul, anything you want to throw out there?
I want to say thank you, Mike Payton. You're awesome. I'm going to be subscribing to all your shit. Tony Mango, it's great to meet you. This was really fun. I want to say to everybody who follows out there, tweet Ryback Mark Henry actual match because the travesty tonight was not worth viewing. I really want to see those two go head to head because I think they could have a decent match. I'm also going to be auditioning for Little Shop of Horrors in lacrosse, UW lacrosse this summer. And Michael Burhan, I love you. You are my British bitch, and I want to get back there and hang out with you guys so hardcore. Go to karaoke again. You know what I'm talking about. Thank you guys so much for letting me be a part of this podcast.
You're welcome. And that brings us to Burhan.
Of course, you know my stuff. Check out I Got Gameplay, which is my gaming podcast, which we've had consistency as well with Mike Payden. He's awesome. Literally, without him and Brandon on the show, there wouldn't be a show basically. So it's great to have them there.
Aww.
It's always fun talking about video games.
I know it is awesome, and it's nice to have like very different opinions on there as well. We did our episode 15, which was MMORPGs. And also, you know, my rest of my stuff. I've got a few shows coming up. We're renovating the Nerdgenius YouTube channel. The blog's going to be renovated. Hopefully by this Sunday, things all going up and running. I'm starting a Kickstarter for a film that I'm producing, writing, and directing, which is a musical about the zombie apocalypse. So please, ladies and gents, if you can give generously. And check out www.nerdgenius.com for more. And, you know, stay tuned for everything that I'm doing. If you like Smosh, if you like entertainment channels, if you love wrestling, if you just want to see Michael Burhan act like an asshole, then please, please, please subscribe to all these little projects and stay tuned on the Smark Out Moment, keeping kayfabe, because wrestling does matter to us. That's why we keep doing this, peeps. At the end of the day, we want to actually put our opinions across there and listen to your opinions as well. So make sure that you subscribe, make a comment, good or bad, and keep sending your mailbag questions, answering our Ask Hims, and also commenting on Payden's beard because he has an epic beard.
That'll do us in for episode 71. This is another Smark Out moment. We're being counted out. Adios, everybody.
This outro's so close, it reeks like shit. I bet sometimes it smells like cheese. It's time to get to the washroom. I'm so drunk I can't get it off. Every despise my best on the outro. It's so close, I feel like shit. Sometimes this outro reeks like cheese. It's so close, I know I can get it off. So it's time to sign off.